Wouldn't you say, if we truly want to live, that we shouldn't do the things that destroy us? And wouldn't you agree that if someone truly valued their life or didn't want to suffer, that they would be seeking to learn why and stop doing those things that hurt them? It's so simple, like it should be easy. So why then are we the way that we are? Why do we do those things that harm and destroy us, even once we become aware that they do? How have we become so blind and complacent? Why are there things that we avoid that are wonderful for us? Stability, incredible happiness, fulfillment, feeling fully alive. Why do we avoid the ones we're supposed to love? Why would we rather bear resentment than forgive and start anew? The structure from within us is reflected within a society and mirrored in a similar pattern throughout the world. There are those who can see the dysfunction, but for some reason do not fully acknowledge how to properly function. Perhaps at first this is because we simply neglect to, but eventually it's as if we can almost lose sight of it altogether in a sort of constructed, willful ignorance or cognitive dissonance. The wholeness of truth is the wholeness of all of us, both individually and as we are created to be together with all living things and our earth as we experience it. And this is the whole light. This is also the knowledge of how to function and be alive, and it never leaves us. This knowledge is inherent within us and within our bodies. What occurs is the usage of our free will to construct new structures, ones that are artificial and therefore will produce less than perfect results to varying degrees, depending on how much of the original light or knowledge is omitted and or replaced with anything else. But is everything we create going to be artificial? If you consider the word artifice, by definition it means a clever, cunning trick or display of false, insincere behavior, used to deceive someone or gain an advantage. It can also refer to a technical skill or an ingenious inventiveness, and it comes from the Latin word artificium, meaning craftsmanship. And if you look at the definition of artificing, it includes the active creation, modification, or clever construction of objects. What if most of what we've experienced and produced that has been considered craftsmanship actually has within its very design an origin in deception and insincerity? What do we create that is a product of genuine and sincere intent? The difference is in the fullness of the light, or the omission of it for the sake of deception. Our actions continue to produce results, and our inaction also produces a result. We, being alive, are creating, and have to choose what we will create. If we want to create things that are real, and not things that are artificial, we will choose to be genuine and sincere. The solution is to return back to and continuously choose the natural way of life from the original blueprint within us, and to discontinue the avoidance or choosing of anything but this proper way. That way being the natural embodiment of love. Things take time to experience and understand the effects, and there is grace as space to explore and create. Nature has built-in warnings for danger. Any serious and long-lasting problems we've gotten into are a direct result of ignoring the warnings and dangerous effects. We receive consequences and proof, but choose not to change. It's that simple. Or so it seems it should be. However, this is not simply a matter of right and wrong as it pertains to our individual choice, because we share this world together and resonate together. The fact there is relationship necessitates balance. It's a literal song and dance that we live, and it requires us to share ourselves and personal experience fairly, each of us holding ourselves accountable to the whole of creation and to our earth. We have heart and soul, a heart to feel connection to the promise of love given to us as a gift that is also for the giving of that love to one another, and our soul as the proof of our own place within that promise. In living, we are proving we live in that promise with our own free will to choose to. It's something we've known all along, and that's also why I say that the truth and the knowledge of how we function never leaves us. When we are too prideful and ashamed to reconcile with or give to others, or we want to take advantage of others by acting unfairly or without reciprocation, it causes us to want to stay in the dark so as not to be seen. We choose to craft clever ways to stay in darkness, and whether it appears intentional or not depends on your personal conscious awareness and honesty. We neglect to resonate in harmony, and so we go astray, and in turn we lose ourselves in that darkness. That darkness is the absence of light. It is death and the spirit of it. When in dysfunction, part of you is darkened, not executing its purpose. Our bodies also reflect this to us through disease. Darkness affects our minds and creates dissonance and confusion. Beyond the physical body, we are the light for each other's darknesses, and through each other, the dark parts receive the light and become light again, in essence, healing. This occurs as we receive the light from the actions of others and store it within. We can draw upon that light from within ourselves and reflect upon it, and when we are grateful for that light, we can choose to reflect it back out. Life is born as in to bear, together through us. But what if we all become dark in the same parts, or the same ways, or if we choose not to reflect the light through our loving actions? What if there is no one reflecting that part of the light? What if we continue to grow darker still, because we can also choose with our free will not to even receive the light that is reflected, nor to be the one to reflect it back out to others? Why would we do this? Well, this is beyond a simple binary matter of light and dark, right and wrong, because we have time, and with time we have grace. We can experience the effects of our own free will and live out the results. There seems to be an artificial light as the product of incomplete light, something substituting in place of the full light that is intended to be. I believe that this is an illusion, the definition being a deceptive appearance, perception, or belief that tricks your brain into accepting something unreal as true. And the effect is a result of believing our own free will's, let's just say, chosen amount of light as the true one, which in light of the actual truth is deception. When we choose to only consider ourselves, or a few exclusive number of people and desired things, we create separation. We exclude the rest of the light and the rest of the bigger picture. When we don't consider something as a whole, we are only receiving in part. This makes the incomplete light a lesser light, only part of the whole picture, but acted upon as if it is such. The rest missing or rejected becomes darkness, and too much darkness decreases function until death. This concept encompasses all of our bad habits, and is the root of all of our disease. There are various ways we can create with the lesser light while maintaining a level of balance and function. It is due to the threshold afforded us as grace and time to see and to judge the effects of what we've built and have opportunity to make changes. The more of the light we receive and reflect or give, the higher quality potential of life we create and experience. The longer we act in selfish ways, the more ways we create to serve the design built for us to remain selfish, and the more ways we create to become more compartmentalized and separated. Did you notice I said create? Yes, remember? We are creators. This self-separate from the whole serving structure is that lesser light, or artificial light. Artificial because it is artificed by us through our judgment of the light. Our judgment became more and more self-serving and self-preserving as we refused to compromise. The more self-serving that gets reflected out through our actions, the more we perceive hurt and betrayal, and the more we want to seek self-preservation, and then turn to more self-serving. Then we are separate and cut off from the fullness of our livelihood. We cherry-pick what we deem worthy enough to serve, and what we avoid or reject. We do this from a place of separation that results in fear or insecurity, under the idea that you must fulfill your own needs and protect them from some other. Artificial light is synonymous with artificial intelligence, because intelligence is information, and information is light. Though disguised as an invention of convenience, it's the image of what has been created so as not to have to be accountable or indebted to each other, and therefore not have to repay or require to be dependent upon payment from. But that debt needed to be resolved from the beginning, because our interconnectedness in relationship is our true livelihood. The debt is our payment and repayment to one another, and is the shadow of, or absence of, the original light, love itself. In truth, it is reciprocation. It is trust, respect, kindness, compassion, forgiveness. Love is action that produces from the whole light, and therefore it is wholesome, and it is what is true, and it is what is real. This is what the lesser light is subtracting from. The way back to the whole light is to forgive, to give for the sake of one another. When we do, we are no longer in debt, but we are committed and fulfilling a promise. The promise is the promised land, heaven on earth, our destiny. With this understanding, there is much to contemplate. This is just my attempt at simplifying something profound. We've all been living through this, so we each have a perspective of it. Many have hoped to understand it as fully as we can in our time, to be redeemed and restored to the whole light and true purpose. The integration of the structures created with this lesser light in the form of artificial intelligence is happening now on a major scale, and the effects will be dysfunction and death unless we take action to change. But to do so at this point seems impossible. The willpower to resist the temptation of the convenience of AI is the same willpower required all along, but it is in how far we've become dependent on the false structures and the time that it would take to create the change. We will have to begin with changing our minds about what we value, and we have to be willing to sacrifice the cheap substitutes. We must be willing to part with our addiction to avoidance and aversion to the truth and its judgment, our addiction to remaining hidden in the darkness. We must realize that we have simply forgotten, or have not yet seen how beautiful we actually are when we embody the truth, and when we are the ones choosing to exercise our own power to create from light and doing so with authentic intent. With power comes responsibility, and to embrace responsibility with honor and integrity should be our pleasure. The key takeaway to understanding why life and our experience of it is the way that it is, and how we can even begin to change it, is to first acknowledge our state of separation and what we try to hide or avoid, and then looking what is beyond us individually and see ourselves as one person who is part of the big picture, which includes many other people and living beings and creations. And in choosing to act authentically, naturally, we wholly embody the light we've always had within us. And this is how we will experience ourselves in full. This is us being truly alive, and we will see the fruits of it. We become real, and the light which we are, we also choose to reflect, becoming true intelligence for each other's sake, together, in love, and whole.